I'm Hugh, Julie's brother, Hugh Osborne, Julie's brother, and I'm going to kind of be the MC, thanks to Julie's wishes, and kind of kick things off. We have about 8 or 9 or 10 different people who have signed up to talk or sing or tell jokes, or we have no dancers as now, but we have quite a few people who are going to come up here and talk. And then, as I said, afterwards, anybody who wants to tell a story about Julie, we'd really like to have you just raise your hand and say something. Okay? So I'm going to start off with what I call my Jool-ej, which is a eulogy to Julie. I started off, everybody said, okay, Hugh, you're a funny guy. You're not as funny as Julie, but there very few people were, so make it funny. And as I sat down to write this, almost nothing funny came out, in part because I think of the sadness I feel for Julie, and partly because for other reasons that my wife is going to talk about. But this is pretty much the outlines of Julie's life, and I'm going to kind of lay out the framework, and then other people are going to come up from her school years and college years and afterwards from London, from all over her life, and tell little stories. And I'm probably going to cry too, so I'll just tell you that right now. So, here's a little bit about Julie. Julie was so full of life, with a spark that everyone could feel. She had a sense of style and verve, often wearing beautiful clothes with swirling colors that she got at a price you wouldn't believe. That's the one joke. So she was clearly a court jester in a former life, for she was the life of the party, not from some need to act out, but because she had a mind and a soul that could open people up and see what was valuable in them and see what they needed to laugh about in their lives. She also had an ease with life and people and made friends more easily than she sneezed in hay fever season. She was the kind of friend, sister, daughter, mother, and wife who made life worthwhile. Especially for those of you who haven't known Julie for that long, I'd like to go over some of the outlines of her life, of the life of my little sister, as she referred to herself for me, and I found out for my sisters as well. I thought it was a personal thing, but it really wasn't. She was one of my dearest friends, an occasional partner in mischief, and a fellow traveler in my life. So, to kind of go into the semi-deep background, our parents met and were married in Paris, where they were rebuilding Europe after the Second World War. They met and got married in 1949 in Paris. They moved to Copenhagen, where Tori and I were born, then to Spain, and then to Haverford, PA, where they stayed for the rest of their lives, at least my father's life, over 50 years. Here, Annie and Julie were born, and my mother still lives nearby, so Haverford was a very big part of our lives. I first met Julie when she came home from the hospital. My father brought her back, and I remember looking at this red fuzz and thinking, I'd never seen a peanut with red fuzz before. But she was, as a small child, she was really quite a wonder. She used to walk around in her Hawaiian muumuus. I don't know if my sisters remember that, but she'd just walk around with this red beetle kind of army helmet haircut that I think we saw a picture of out here, with these Hawaiian muumuus on, chasing the dog and throwing footballs and doing all kinds of things. She used to like to dance around in the grass, run through the sprinklers, and later on, she was a killer on the badminton court that we had for the family. So from the earliest of times, we could see in Julie her characteristic athleticism, joie de vivre, and her developing wicked sense of humor, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with in one form or another. So she spent her elementary years at Haverford Friends, and we have some folks here from friends of hers from Haverford Friends who are going to talk in a moment. Haverford Friends School, where all 4 of us went, was really deserves a shout out, as they say these days, as the warmest, friendliest, most wonderful school in the world, and a place that was really central to all 4 of us Osborne kids, and I think in some ways especially Julie. She then went to the Baldwin School, and graduated after being the captain of the basketball team, a star on the hockey and tennis teams, and part of the elite singing and theater groups, and evidently did some academics too. She was, as always, very popular, making lifelong friends at both schools, Haverford Friends and Baldwin, being the class clown, which I've now confirmed from several people, as she cracked up her friends with her antics and insightful sarcasm. She also used her ability to connect deeply with people to help some of her friends who are going through very difficult times. And they have come to me in the last few weeks and told me how important that was. After Baldwin, Julie went to Connecticut College for Women and Boys, as she used to call it, where she further developed her lifelong love of acting and graduated as a theater major. As we saw on Dave's wonderful video, she spent her junior year abroad at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London and decided while she was in London that her soul had been born there. I remember when she told me that, I thought, okay, what does that mean? Well, what it meant was she was going back to London to live. So she moved back to London after graduating, spent much of the next 9 years there. She took an immigration-enforced break during this time, luckily for us, and came to live with Claudia and me in our house in Pelham when Nat was just about a year old. Where's Nat? There's Nat. He's older than a year old now. She used to call herself Natty's Naughty Nanny. Which, by the way, is different from Naughty Natty's Nanny. And it was really a wonderful time. We had such a great little boy. Nat has always been a wonderful son, but he was especially cute, 1-year-old. Julie was a joyful addition to the family. She was a loving nanny to Nat, and as usual was a whole lot of fun, although she, as I remember, wasn't actually that naughty. So she returned after an immigration-enforced period of time. She returned to 1987 and married a gay friend, Pete Wood, in order to beat the immigration police for good, which she did. Julie was now, and would always be, to some degree, a Brit. Pete was a great buddy of Julie's up to the end, and visited her about a month and a half ago, or during the summer anyhow, and he's still a very good family friend.